We just got the word about Woodcroft. That's a tough break for that kid, though.
Yeah, well, I was in touch with them this morning as well. It's not how we envisioned rookie camp or the start of the season going, but it is what it is. And, he's someone that's had to deal with a few small injuries, and I'm confident that he'll get healthy quick and put the necessary work into making sure that he gets back up to game ready. So it's just something that happens, especially in contact sports, is that there's lots of injuries, and it was unfortunate that happened 2 shifts into his first game back in a while, but it is what it is, and he'll put the work in to make sure he's back to game ready.
We saw Chase on with the sling. Is that the elbow or shoulder? Is that a longer term?
Well, I think he's going to get a picture on it, but I would say that he's out for. I'd be confident in saying that he's out for rookie camp. So once the pitcher in our medical department reads it and comes up with a plan for him, I'll have more information on you. But I'm confident in saying that he won't be participating on the ice in the rest of rookie camp here.
So you've had medicals, which is a tough day, then 2 hard days of practice, and then a morning skate and a game.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a grind. Is that also a bit of a revealing process in how these young professional athletes deal with that?
100%. I think when you look at the season in segments, the training camp part of the season, I believe, should be one of the more difficult and more taxing and more challenging points of the year. So you mentioned, we're throwing some things at these kids in terms of giving them themes for practices. Don't forget, a week ago they were in shinny hockey while they prepared for this rookie camp. So there's habits that we want to ingrain, and it's not easy to play the right way. And it comes through repetition and holding players accountable for doing things correctly. And, we had a little chat on the ice after practice today, and we played a hard game last night. They found a way to win a game. They've only been together for 3 days, but I think they felt good about winning that game. But it was about showing up the next morning with the proper mindset, the mindset to get better. And sometimes that's not an easy thing when you're feeling sore, but that's professional hockey, and that's what we want to expose these young kids to.
Can you talk to Rubinski, any player who's at a rookie camp but does not have a contract? I mean, what is he probably going through? He doesn't, these other kids are drafted by the Oilers or whatever.
I think he's looking to impress. I've had some conversations with him. Seems like a very personable young man. When you're in his situation, I think you try and keep your picture small and worry about one day at a time and stacking a good day on top of another. He wouldn't be in this camp if the organization didn't feel that he had some potential. And I think he's just trying to reveal to more eyes within our organization what type of player he is. And he's put some good days together. He had a good game last night. He had a good practice today. But as the camp goes on and we work our way through and then eventually get into working with veteran players, you get to learn more about individuals. And so I would say that for Henrik, he's trying to work his way through camp and keep his picture small and worry about what he can do on a day-by-day basis.
Petrov, he's going to go play junior in Canada this year. His English is actually quite good for a guy who just started a year ago. What do you like about him? What do you see in his upside?
I see someone that has some skill. I thought he made a couple plays last night, which was, fun as a coach to watch young players make plays. He made a couple plays. He looked dangerous at times. He has to learn the nuances of not only North American hockey, but maybe professional hockey. I think he's going into a good situation, and I believe it's North Bay. And I was quite impressed with his level of English too. I was surprised at how well he communicated. He doesn't miss anything when you're giving instruction, and he's like a lot of the rest of the younger guys in their first pro camp. He's a sponge, and a lot of it's new to him, but he's trying to get better every day.
And Konovalov, he's well enough to start the game tomorrow?
Yep, that's our plan, is to start Konovalov tomorrow. He had a good day in practice today. There was a lot of goalie touches today, and I liked what I saw. I haven't heard anything from the medical department that would hold him back, but our plan is to start Ilya tomorrow night.
In the NHL now, unless you're 6'2" or 3 or 5 or 7, it's tough. I mean, Saros is obviously maybe the exception in Nashville as a starter.
Yeah.
What do smaller goalies in today's game have to do so they're not diving across the crease on every play?
Yeah, on a technical side of things, I think it would be better answered by our goalie coaches. But for me, I think if someone might be perceived as undersized, there has to be other special elements to their game. So playing the puck well would be one of them. I think making the most out of the size that they do have, meaning, there are some big goalies who play small, and there are some smaller goalies who play big. So I think the challenge for Ilya as he works his way through is that things happen quicker on smaller ice sheets. I think the North American brand of hockey, there's a lot more traffic, and there's a lot more quick reattacks to the net off of that traffic. So I'm anxious to watch him play in his first North American experience. We're going on the road into Calgary, a big rival, and I'm sure there will be lots of traffic around, and it's a good test for him.
When Mikko came back too, he had to learn how to handle the puck behind the net, and his angles, he said they shoot from everywhere in the NHL. They don't do that in Russia. Is that how you see it as well?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think a premium is placed on putting pucks off goaltenders and then playing off of that. It's not even so much that you're going to score on that first shot. It's about how the defense contracts, and then you get to expand. And I think that's something that we see in today's game, especially on the smaller ice sheet. So for goalies that come over from Europe, that is a difference because I think over there they're more looking for the prime scoring chance before they might shoot the puck. Whereas over here, the dimensions are smaller. They'll put it on net from all angles, and they'll worry about playing off that initial shot.
And one last one, the fact he's played pro hockey regardless of whether it's in the KHL or, does that get him a step ahead? I mean, regardless of where you're playing, he's playing pro hockey, not junior hockey.
Yeah, I think what it does is that it allows him to have a clear sense of who he is. He's played against men, and he's done it over an amount of time. So he's comfortable in what his strengths are. I think playing against men, you get used to the quality of shooters at that level. There is skill in the KHL. I know that firsthand. You learn what professional work habits are from people that are, older than you, and you see how they approach things, and I think it sets him up well. I'm very excited to see him play tomorrow because of that. He's part of a deep pool of goaltending prospects that we have.
Thank you.
Jay, just to backtrack a little bit on Sam Marukov, I just wonder, because of what he kind of endured last year with the injury and kind of cutting his season short and really seemingly working his way back in here and seemingly a lot of positivity about him, does that make it extra frustrating for the organization just to, now that he's, sidelined when he seemed like he was making some good progress?
Yeah, I think it's disappointing for him personally. Anytime you get injured, it's a little bit disappointing, and especially after you put a bunch of work in to get back to the point where you're feeling good. And I mean, let's face it, it was not accidental, but it was incidental. You know, it wasn't there wasn't malice to it. It was a hockey play, and he got hurt off of it. I think it can always be worse. So let's count our blessings that it's not worse. And I think for a young man, he's going through a little bit of adversity in that he got hurt at the end of last year, and at the start of this rookie camp, 2 shifts into his, trying to make an impression on the brass here, he got hurt again. And that's a little bit of adversity, but knowing the character of the individual, he'll put the necessary work in to make sure that he's ready to go, and he'll get back to being game ready.
As you said, and it goes without saying, you never want to see anyone get hurt, but I think the initial fear was that it could be the shoulder again. So do you think this sounds dumb, but it could be a bit of a silver lining that it wasn't the shoulder again?
Yeah, it could have been worse. And, right now he's in very capable hands. I think we have some of the best doctors in the world. I know our training staff here up in Edmonton with TD Force is second to none, and I've been, around professional hockey for a long time, and to watch TD operate and the alignment that he has with the hockey department, the alignment that he has with the doctors, he's an impressive individual to watch work on a daily basis. So Dima's in good hands, and I know, as I said, the character of the kid. He's going to put the necessary work in to make sure he's getting back to being game ready.
What have you noticed out of Philip Broberg the last few days?
Well, I think Philip has number one, a very good attitude. We were talking about it, Dave and I were talking about it in the coach's room. He's still so young. He's a young hockey player that's going into what is typically a first year of professional hockey for North Americans, but just like Matty was talking about with Ilya, he has some professional experience under his belt. Now it's about, learning who he is as a player, setting or laying a foundation for an identity that he can work towards and build towards on a daily basis. And I saw some good things last night in his game. And there's some things that, we're going to work to improve at. There's room for improvement, but the best thing is that he's with his peer group right now. He's starting to create a relationship with Dave, and he's earnest in trying to get better on a daily basis. So for a young man, he's in a good spot.
Yeah, you mentioned his youth, right? Yeah, third year after the draft, but he's coming right after the draft. But in that saying, he is a top 10 pick. So how do you kind of, so there's expectations are sky high from the organization, but people outside the organization, but then he is young. So how do you kind of square those two maybe counter dynamics?
Well, I can tell you that Philip Broberg is not going to be like anybody else. He's going to work to be the best Philip Broberg that he can be. And we'll come up with a game plan to try and improve in certain areas and accentuate some of his strengths. But I can tell you from our coaching staff here that's working with him through rookie camp here, we're not putting undue expectations on him. We want him to take it one practice at a time, one shift at a time, one day at a time. And if he puts the work into the process and has faith in that process, the results take care of themselves. So we're trying to focus that attention to the daily requirements, to do the daily requirements needed to be a top flight at one day NHL defenseman.
And people talk about his skating, that's the thing that stands out. Is there another maybe under noticed aspect of his game that you noticed that maybe the common fan might not?
I saw somebody who had the confidence to not just bang the puck around the wall. I thought he made some plays where he had the confidence to use the middle of the rink. I thought that was excellent. I saw him make some plays at the offensive blue line. Yeah. I saw someone who was confident in his skating, not only up the ice, but his gap control. There were some good parts to that. There's areas to his game that have to improve, and he's going to work hard to do that. Part of that is just getting used to the ice surface, getting used to the type of coaching that he's going to be receiving. And like I said, there's no rush. We're not forcing anything. We're just letting it play out and having that mindset to get better each and every day.
Thanks, Jay.
One last thing on Broberg. A lot of defensemen who skate really well are offensive defensemen. He may turn out to be a two-way Jay Bouwmeester, say.
Yeah.
You've seen Jay play a long time, and in junior he was an offensive player, and he morphed into being a defensive defenseman because he skates so well and he angles people off. Is there any of that? Would you like to see some of that in?
Well, yeah. I think we want to lay out a value system for what we believe is important to him reaching his potential. And that isn't just, hey, I have to put up 2 points a game. At the end of the year, I want to be in the top 5 of, scoring for defensemen. I think those things are great, and if they happen, great. But I think what we want to do is come up with a game plan for him where he might be able to use his strength of skating in a defensive way, in denying entries, in working back quickly on retrievals, and spending less time in your zone because of that skating. We want him to meet his check early rather than just let somebody come in and establish their ice. We want him to do those type of things and paint a picture of how valued those things are as much as putting up points might be. And I think for young men that are coming from all over the world, that's something that we try and do with all players. We come up with a game plan of, okay, what we're looking for from certain individuals, and we work at it on a daily basis. And I can tell you that it's rarely ever a perfect process. It's something that we work on.
And Adam Larson told me once, he said, I was kind of an offensive defenseman who was good in Europe too, and you had to learn everything's some more battles for pucks in the corners and stuff. And even though you're a good skater, you have to use your body more. Is that, in Philip's case, he's played in Europe and Sweden for a couple of years, but has not played in North America where there's so many more plays along the boards.
Yeah, I think as much as you can talk about it, you have to experience it. And it's all part of finding his pathway to the NHL. And board battles is certainly part of it. Closing people off, pinching their hands off so that there's no play to be made, and valuing the physical side of things, I think, is important. As we started talking about him, we talked about how young he is. He's a young man that's in his first full experience of committing to play a year, in North America. He's going to play in North America this year. And I think he's going to benefit from that experience on a daily basis, from going against teammates and going against opponents in different colored sweaters. Good. Thanks, guys.